Well, I'm back for another special episode of Men's Couch, and today I'm going to be talking about the. I'm going to talk about love and why men have a hard time saying "I love you" to each other. It's something that I kind of talked about with Dimitri. We were kind of like, because I messaged him and I said "I love you," and we were talking about how uncomfortable it is for men to say I love you. So I'm going to be talking about that and why does that exist? Why are we like why is it like uncomfortable for men to express that emotional intimacy? And we're going to be mainly talking about like emotional intimacy in this podcast episode. Um, what is emotional intimacy? What does it mean to be known and have that like level of just that emotional intimacy where you can say I love you to your guy friends, or you can say you can express affection. So I'm gonna kind of look up. I guess I should have a good definition of emotional intimacy. So I guess I'll look that up. But yeah, so um, I think it's a lot of times on the podcast I go over the socialization process of men and why I think it's hard for us to express that. It's because growing up or just being socialized, when you did express that as like a child, you don't have like an awareness of what's socially unacceptable until it's like shamed out of you or it's kind of like not mirrored. So when that um, emotional intimacy isn't mirrored with the other important men in your life, then you're not gonna do that. Or when you do express your sensitive side or your emotional side, and that's rejected, you're going to not do that again because as humans we want to be accepted. We don't want to be rejected. So that's why we don't do that. So okay, so this is like online. So this definition, I'll leave it in the description below. So the definition is emotional intimacy is sharing the sharing of thoughts and feelings with another person in a way that's trusting, safe, and vulnerable. Okay, it is about being emotionally open and honest with each other. So I guess if we kind of explore this right here, is emotional intimacy is the sharing of thoughts and feelings with another person. So that's why I kind of related that to saying like why men are afraid of saying that we love each other, or why we're uncomfortable with it. It's because we're really uncomfortable with emotional intimacy in our friendships. And this podcast, Men's Couch, seeks to open those barriers and to unlock those gates that we have on each other. We kind of need to. I'm creating the space for men to be emotionally open and honest so that they know that they are safe and that they are loved. So, and that is why I created this, is so that we can lean into the uncomfortable feeling of saying that we love each other. Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't like it wasn't natural for me to say I love you to any of my the other important men in my life. It was not natural for me to say that. It took a lot of practice, and at first I was like super uncomfortable, especially when I started doing it in high school. And um, high school in that environment can be very toxic to where emotional intimacy can't happen. So when I tried to do that and it was taken the wrong way, then that made me want to like pull back more. But now that I'm in a, as an adult, um, I'm still trying to practice that in my life. And it is hard. I'm going to admit that it is hard because I'm like uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable saying that still. However, it is getting better. And I find myself that I screw, I just say screw it. I don't want to say I love this guy because I want to show this guy how much this person means to me and how much I appreciate him in my life. And if that means saying I love you, then I'm going to say that because even no matter how uncomfortable it is, I think it's so important to say that so that the other person knows that they are loved. Um, and another thing I want to point out is that emotional intimacy, well, at least from, okay, another thing, this is my perspective, so just a disclaimer, this is my perspective. I'm not an expert on emotional intimacy or that. Um, yeah, anyway, so emotional intimacy is seen as more normal in romantic relationships. And it's more seen as normal in romantic relationships, but not so much in friendship. And I kind of want to go against the grain. I kind of want to change that. What if you can have emotional intimacy and emotional investment in your friendships? And what if you can have more of a deeper community or support system in your friendships as well? I'm not saying that romantic relationships aren't of any significance, but I'm saying that um, emotional intimacy can be also welcomed in friendships, and it's important to have that as men to kind of challenge the norms. How about we do a little challenge challenge the norm of what what is like what we've been socialized to believe. And that's kind of what I'm doing with the podcast, is challenging the norms and going against the current. We kind of talked about that on the last episode, is how can we go against the current of loneliness being normal, and it's actually not normal, that we just don't feel fulfilled in our friendships and or that surface level. So now I do want to say that not every, like I guess emotional intimacy depends on how close the friendship is. So not every the cool thing about friendship is that you can have different types of closeness in friendship, but not every friendship is close. And I'm talking about the more closer friendships where you've developed that emotional intimacy. You're knowing you know each other more fully, and you're able to accept each other. But how can we like express that in a way that is good for both people? And that is why I want to talk about why why is this a problem? And I think part of it has to do with the concept of love too, where we see love as romantic in its nature. We always just see it as romantic, and we don't see it as well. Or this also goes with family. Like, okay, you can love your family, and then you can like love your partner, but we don't like kind of see that in friendship. We don't. We might like have the same feelings of love towards our friends, but we don't express that because we don't think it's appropriate to express that. And I kind of want to encourage people to just leave room for that. Just leave room for your friendships being as, how about, yeah, being as emotionally invested as any other relationship that you have in your life. That's kind of what I wanted to say with this. And what I've learned with this podcast is that actually men actually do want to express that. It's just getting there, it can be very uncomfortable. And yeah, I'm not with this podcast, I'm not telling like other men, okay, you should just do this. I'm just encouraging it. If you have that desire to want to express that, then by all means, I want to give you permission to do that. But it's also a risk. It's a risk because you don't know how that other person's going to respond, and that could be a little. It can be scary. It's scary to risk that, and as men, it, it's just very uncomfortable and having that feeling of just awkwardness. And I think that's like another problem is that awkwardness comes with I feel like awkwardness comes first before emotional intimacy. So just doing something that is awkward, or I don't know what's the right word to say this. I guess something that will kind of make it a little bit uncomfortable for the other person and for you, is to embrace that. And I think that's another problem, is that we need to kind of like embrace that and lean into it. And I'm mainly talking to myself, because anytime there's like an awkward situation, I just want to run away and not have to deal with it. So I don't know if any of my listeners relate to that feeling of just wanting to run away and just not deal with that. But I think I'm getting better at this, of leaning into intimacy and leaning into that, no matter how uncomfortable it is you have to kind of lean into that. But also why you want to do this, why I think it's a good idea to express that in a way that's comfortable for you, because everyone has a different love language or love style or friendship style. I think it's important because I think we all want to develop emotional intimacy, but we don't know how to get there. So expressing your love for this person, or your appreciation for this person, is a doorway to get to the emotional intimacy and closeness that you want in your friendship. Sorry, I am looking at some stuff. So we have that. We have the definition. I guess I can just try to do a quick search of just topics of the topic. Just this isn't, yeah. But I think it's super important, and we have terms, like today we have the term called the bromance, and I don't know when it like really started. I guess it started like sometime around the 2000s or something, where bromance is used to describe an emotionally intimate friendship, and between two guys. With that, I think I guess now that we have that term to describe friendships, I guess like in society that we're becoming a lot more comfortable with that, and it's not as like seen as in a negative way. It's more embraced now in our culture. It's kind of like embracing it more. But I still want to, and I kind of don't like the term romance. I don't really like that term, because I feel like even though I guess that like describes, like, language is important to describe things, but I guess it's like a type of um, male friendship that is like very close and that goes beyond the norm. But I feel like we don't need a term for that, because I feel like we should just have that in our lives without having to say, oh, this is a bromance. Or I shouldn't have to explain to someone on the outside, like, saying, I shouldn't have to say, well, we're a bromance, so this is why we do this. This is why I hug him a lot. It's because it's a bromance. I don't want to explain that. I just wanted it to just be normal without explaining it. Anyway, that's my rant, but that's yeah. So let's look at some more articles. But yeah, and I want like my listeners to know, if you guys are like very if you guys are like super interested in this topic, is that it is a journey to get there. And I want to like kind of explain that, is that it takes time to develop that. Sometimes you will like immediately just click with another man, and it would just be like that. And sometimes you have to develop that over time. It takes time for that to happen, and I just want to encourage that. um I want to encourage like those taking those first steps. If you're kind of like, well, I don't know what to do, like, I want what you're talking about, I don't know what to do. um so I think like some steps I would take is to just kind of feel for your friendships, or feel for like what who is kind of who like just kind of like go down the list of who do you think might want to have that type of friendship with you. And sorry, I'm just looking at some articles that I didn't really pull up well. So it's kind of like looking at who do you think might want that with you, or if you're kind of already started that type of friendship, to build off of that, build off of what you already have. And that's kind of like my advice. I'm still, I'm still learning how to do this, because my avoidant nature is to just push everyone away, and to believe and to be afraid of love. And I think that's another thing I want to kind of um, talk about, is that we're kind of afraid of love, even in well even in friendship, if not more, because that, like, I guess love can be scary, because we're allowing someone to see us of who we are. We're allowing someone to see all of our parts. And if we're like kind of afraid of that, it can be very scary to have someone like say that they accept us, even though it shouldn't be scary. It should be like, you should feel secure when someone says, hey, I accept you, no matter your flaws or no matter what. It can still be scary, because it um you're if you're like if you're just like not used to that, not used to hearing that someone like accepts you like that in that way, it can be like very scary, because you don't know whether to trust that. And as men, letting our guard down like that is very, very hard. It's very hard to allow someone to see us truly and fully. And I know that very well, because me and Alex, which Alex will be back on Monday. Just another shout out to him in the musical. Um, he will be back for the next regular episode. But with me and my friendship with Alex, it was super scary to allow him to support me. And now we joke about it now, because I didn't allow him to help me at first, when I first came to know him. I I couldn't like accept the fact that he wanted to love me as a friend. It's very hard to do that, because it's also has to do with like it goes against like your internal self, if you're if you like believe that that you're not worthy enough of this type of love, or if you don't believe that you're worthy of emotional intimacy, then that's like you're you're gonna just like you're gonna not allow someone to love you. So it's also that aspect of allowing someone to love you. So that's yeah. So it's allowing someone to love you can be very difficult, and I know this very well. I know for me, when I first met Alex, it was super hard to allow that to happen because I didn't know like what. It was just like so scary. I guess and I'm also gonna like kind of relate it back to like childhood and attachment because again, I've said it like a million times. I'm a huge attachment person. I'm into like the attachment styles. So if you kind of like grew up in like a that environment where it was like avoidance of emotional closeness, then that's gonna be very scary in your adult life. And if it is, it makes sense. It makes sense that it's scary to allow someone to know you, to allow someone to see your fears, your anxieties, and all that. It's scary because um, that didn't happen in childhood, so it didn't happen in your life. Or if you did try to make that happen, if you did try to have someone accept you, and they didn't, whether it be your family or your peers at school, if that didn't happen, then you're not gonna know what that looks like. So, so it's really like a journey to get there, to get to that, to get there. And I know with my history of being constantly rejected in primary school, by other men or by other boys, it doesn't make sense. Like it's like it's hard to like when you have that trauma, which again I think every guy has that trauma or has like some you have that like I don't know what to call it. I guess you have like a rejection wound or something. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, we'll call it that. You have like a rejection. You carry that rejection trauma, and that's like hard to um, trust someone in an adult friendship. So you might want this adult friendship, or you might want to allow someone into your life, but with your trauma and what you've like experienced all your life, you just experienced rejection. So you just you might just not want to try it again, and that makes total sense. You might not want to. I guess the phrase is you might not want to try love again, but that's part of like the fear response, and that's part of like the fear thing. So I guess I'm gonna close the episode. I don't want to close on like a dark note, like oh everyone's hopeless, but no, there's so much so much emotional closeness to experience. It's more of finding the people that you think might want the same thing that you do, and it's about risking it. I know for me it was totally risky to um, try to do that with other men, and I have found some amazing men, as you know, on the podcast. My friends, I love my friends. I love all of them. Um, they mean so much to me, and I don't know. It's like so hard. So even like right now, I'm like expressing, oh, I love my friends, but it's not easy to say that for me. It's not easy at all. But I really do love them. Have got, they've just been that support um, for me. They they're just like showing their commitment to me, and that's another thing. Also, commitment isn't just in marriage or in like romantic relationships, also in friendships, and I've like felt their secure love, and um, that's kind of helped me accept that I do need this. So when you like experience that when someone else gives that to you and you realize like, wait a second, I do need this. This is something that is normal and that shouldn't be shamed or shouldn't be just shouldn't be shamed. So when you experience that, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is I need this. I need someone. I need this um this acceptance from other men and this love from other men. So I think I have a thing. Wait a second. Oh, okay. So Romans. So this I'm gonna read like from a scripture, um, right here. So Romans 12:10 says, "Be devoted to one another in brotherly love." And I feel like that's that's what I've experienced before I like kind of sign off. Is that's what I've experienced is we're devoting each other to brotherly love, and we're going to those places where to those like places where we're letting someone in on what's going on in our life, and that's like how we develop emotional intimacy is allowing someone in on allowing someone to know what's no allowing someone else to know what's going on in our life, but also and I guess I should have said this at the beginning of the episode. So I'm not saying that you should just go full on in your friendships and just spill all your guts and say all that stuff. I'm saying that um slowly, what like with getting to know someone and seeing where you can support them and allowing them to support you. So I think for me it's also allowing someone to support you in certain areas of your life. It's allowing them to love you and you supporting them, which I think that's what the next episode will be. It's how do we reach out for help and how do we support each other. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna sign off. I'm thankful for my listeners and I'm thankful for my friends. I love all my friends. I love you guys. All right.